All right, guys, welcome to the Investor's Guide of Memphis Real Estate. I am your host, Dean Harris. As always, I'm with Douglas Skipworth. How are you, buddy?
Hey, man, doing great.
Good. We're bringing you this podcast to give you the boots on the ground knowledge to be a successful real estate investor here in Memphis, Tennessee. Please like and subscribe to the Investor's Guide of Memphis Real Estate on YouTube. Listen to us on Spotify, wherever you catch your podcast. Show sponsors are listed on the screen below. We couldn't be doing this podcast without those guys. We really appreciate all their support. Zoom calls, I've cut out some of the Zoom calls, but if you guys want those back, if you'd be interested, just send me a quick note. If I get enough people there, I'll be happy to bring those back. Every day I help buyers and sellers here in Memphis, Tennessee. If you have any kind of investment deals that you want to buy, sell, Dean at CrestCore.com. I'll be happy to help you. Last thing before we get going, I got another deal of the week this week.
You help people list, right?
I help you list, so here we go. I've got a deal of the week, 3720 Crosswood Cove, 38127. Listed at $75,000. Let's see.
How big is it?
It's a 3-bed, 1.5 bath. It's got 1,412 square feet. Rehab on this is going to be $30K. Your ARV is going to be around 140. So we might, maybe a little bit under 75. We can offer 70. This seller is probably looking to move. This is one of these burr properties that should 100% burr for you. 3720 Crosswood Cove, 38127. This is also near the Nike and Amazon plant. Last week's deal of the week was also near there. 75 grand, 3-bed, 1.5 bath, 1,412 square feet, 30K rehab, 140, probably 145 ARV. So 100% burr.
Rent.
Yeah, you'll rent this for $1,000. Yeah, $1,050.
Okay.
Great little market. So if you have any questions, Dean at CrestCore.com. Today's podcast, speaking of the deal of the week, we're going to talk about how to prep your property to sell.
Yes.
If you've got an investment property you're looking to sell right now, I'm telling you, this is more relevant now than what you would think. Their mismanagement is going to begin to creep up. It already has begun to creep up for some. So this is not going to be any kind of lengthy, real powerful podcast as far as like information you've never heard. But I wanted to get these basics out right now because I do believe we're going to see some investors need to sell.
Yeah, and I was going to say it's very informative. So, I mean, because I'll challenge kind of what you said about that. It's like, no, this could be very helpful to somebody.
Yeah.
This could be the message for you. Like, if this is where you find yourself, what we're going to talk about today might be exactly what you need to hear.
That's right.
So this could be very important.
The property that's sitting there vacant, hot, tall grass, they're going to come, no matter what, even if those are simple fixes, they're going to lowball your offer. I'm just telling you, it must stand out. You need to have this property occupied or market rent, or it needs to be presentable.
So if you have to sell right now, this is the advice you're giving somebody.
If
for
it's
whatever
vacant,
reason
that's right.
you're
I don't
selling.
care what it is. If you mismanagement or you just want to get out, I don't care what it is. I'm just saying mismanagement is what's going to surface here. But if you just need to get out or you're whatever, I don't care what the reason is. These are the things that you need to do. The property's
to get it sold
stand
today.
out. You've got to have it stand out.
It's not a seller's market anymore, a buyer's market. It's
I got that question yesterday. It's funny you just asked me that.
Okay.
I look at it as a buyer's market.
Okay.
I do because I know what's coming in the future.
Yeah.
Others are going to look at this and say, hey, there's no inventory. This is a seller's market.
Right.
And I could hear both sides of that tale, right? So seller's market because the inventory is at an all-time low.
Yeah.
All-time low. There's still that backlog of buyers.
Yes.
I think we were talking about this a little earlier, a ton of homes this last month. So there's still people buying homes. And these aren't hedge fund buyers, by the way. I have the hedge fund seller I've talked about.
Yeah.
But these are individual buyers.
Right.
These are not, I think I've got one package to a turnkey guy here that bought 10.
Okay.
The rest of these have been ones and twos.
Okay.
To private investors. So
if you need to sell,
it's there. It's happening right now. Okay.
Okay.
The property's got to stand out. And what I mean by that is if it's vacant, it needs to be broom swept.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
The yard needs to be cut and it needs to be secure.
Yeah.
You can't have vandalism coming in and out of the house.
Yeah.
You need to board it up if it's in one of those areas, or you need to make sure that it's secured, and however you need to do that for that market of where that house is at. Okay. cut the grass, keep it cut. The first thing an investor is going to do when they pull up in this high grass is, oh man, this one's in bad shape. Let's low. You see what I mean?
Right.
So
because it's I think because you're saying it's not like you can just like a seller. It's not totally a seller's market where you just put it out there and it sells itself.
No,
you need to kind of it. I consider it more of a normal market. Neither buyers nor sellers have the upper hand.
Right.
So you need to do the things that you should be doing.
Yeah, because the last few years you've just been able to stick a sign out there, put on the MLS, and it sells. Right. That's
Man.
The days of that are not here anymore. So
good. So this is applicable and giving people really good advice. Like if you need to sell, you can't just put a sign in and say, all right, why isn't this selling? No. Here are the things you need to do to get this house to move. You've got a lot of listings right now. Some are priced to sell. Some are obviously in the condition that they need to be in to sell. So these, again, what are you seeing on the things you're listing that are selling?
Things I'm listing are selling, like that vacant home. It's broom swept. It's clean. It looks good for what it is, right? It might need a ton of work, right? But at least we can see that work. If you can't discover the work and figure it out, then I'm just going to
low ball. Yeah, man. I got contingent. I got to make my offer.
100%. Now, if you're occupied,
you
need to be market rent. Okay. Don't come at me with $1,100 market rent and it's rented for $800 and say, oh, but you can get $300 more. Well, then why aren't you? That irritates the fire out of me. Like, then why aren't you getting $300 more? Don't try to sell me on the $300 more or another buyer. Make sure you're at market rent. Make sure you're logging and detailing all of the transactions. If it's not professionally managed, then you need to keep up a little bit better log than I collect in their own time.
As far as like a rent ledger or as far as like repairs?
Roll, any of it.
Okay.
Any of it. If you complete repairs or if you have any kind of self-managed company where you're taking care of everything, the worst case scenario, or the worst thing you can do is come to me, hey, Dean, I got 3 houses to sell. I don't have any documentation though. Yeah, they're paying on time. It's fine. Yeah, that is, no one is going to come in and buy those and give you what you want.
Max price. It's always, everybody's going to want a discount.
Yeah, because it's so many unknowns.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. They got to build in contingencies and safety nets. Okay, that's fair.
So you got to understand that you need to be able to show that information. I've even been okay with just a normal personalized spreadsheet. I mean, of course you could fake that, but I mean, like, even if you have that and you've been documenting that at least shows me a little bit I've got something to go on, right?
Yeah.
Understand when you list a property, it's going to take longer to sell.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to put a quick side. It just made me think of like that. Hey, like, and it kind of like, hey, these show sponsor. So like, a good example is if you self-manage, great. If you need third-party management, or if you're thinking about using third-party management and someday you're going to sell, that's a reason why people like CrestCore Realty Property Management, who is a show sponsor. They collect the rent, so they've got the ledger, they've got the software, they've got all the maintenance history, and so you can spit that information out when the time comes for you to sell or for you to monitor it yourself.
Yes.
All of that information is available, and you're not doing it yourself.
I don't recommend self-manage, by the way. So if we're sitting, don't take that the wrong way. I'm just saying, if that's the path you take and you choose for yourself, make sure at least you can show me that you're managing.
And again, this isn't commercial for show sponsors. This is just hey, here are some things that when you are going to sell, if you've used a professional manager with a professional software, or again, to your point, if you're self-managing, if that's you, use a software. There are tons of softwares out there that will allow you to track the rent and the maintenance, so that when you do go to sell, there's a lot of information there that you can give or provide to the prospective buyer, as opposed to what you're saying. I collect rent every month. Nobody's behind.
That's horrific. What we're saying, I think, here is so valuable, and I don't want to skim over it. It is super important to have this. It is very important. If you're a seller, to be able to detail all of this to the next buyer.
If you want to maximize your price.
Or if you just want to dump it, then just go ahead. But I mean, like, it's kind of like buying a car. People might relate it more. Like, what do you look for now? The Carfax or whatever it is on the car, right?
Yeah.
Versus a guy that's just sending you, another car and saying, hey, send you.
I took care of it.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything is fine.
We
with
never
that.
had
You don't
any
need
trouble.
to do it. No, it's all good. Don't worry. So, anyway, understanding. Yeah. Next point to this, understanding it's going to take a little longer to sell. Okay, it's going to take longer to sell.
It's not going to sell the day you list it like it used to. Multiple offers above asking price.
Wasn't that
on the
wildest time? That was just a year or so ago. I mean, I feel like it was ancient, history.
So it might sit on the market 15, 30 days, 60 days if you're not priced right.
Yeah, if you're not priced right or you're trying to get more than what I'm telling you we can get right now, then understand it's going to take a little longer. Okay. And that's just our current market conditions. That might change in 6 months, but right now it's going to take a little longer. The one thing we talked about too, also, the crash has happened. So if you're waiting and thinking that, there's going to be some big unveiling of a market change in the next 2 years, I think
that's going to lower the prices.
Yeah. Or change anything.
Fair. I got you.
I honestly,
even as a seller,
I don't think we're going to see anything for probably 2 years.
It doesn't seem like it from everything we're reading and hearing and talking about.
No, the crash has happened. And the crash we've talked about was the buyers are now, there's about 50% less buyers in the market.
Yeah. The transactions have imploded such that it's about 50% of where it used to be.
But hear what we're saying. The transactions have imploded. The pricing has not.
Hadn't moved.
And go back and listen to our zip code breakdown. We just did it a month ago. Go back and listen to that and listen to me tell you what the values were in July of 22 or the transaction numbers in 22 versus in July of 23, what the transaction numbers were. It was about 50% less across the board, but our pricing had stayed the same.
Yeah.
There were 2 or 3 zip codes that went up.
It went up. Yeah. In some places it was going up. And I went back and kind of what we've talked about before, like when you focus on something, you find it, right? It comes. And so I've been looking at that, and a lot of people are saying this time is more like it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
When the supply and demand both kind of shifted back such that the prices stayed the same. Yeah. It was just kind of stable for a while. So I think that's part of what we're saying. Why, if you are someone who needs to sell right now, it is a good time to sell.
Yeah.
Because the price, there's a floor, there's a pricing stability.
Yes.
And if you do these things, then you go ahead and sell it right now.
Yes.
While you can.
And even if you have to sell, like this is even more relevant, right? If you have to sell and you're about to call me and go, hey, I need to sell my houses, like this is something you definitely need to start working on yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, begin to talk to your manager or begin to get your files in line. One of the last things here is just make sure you have your docs and your numbers correct. I mean, that kind of goes along with your documentation. Just, if it's renting for 900, then please don't tell me it's 975, I think.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? Like, just make sure you got everything correct and everything accurate. And then, last thing was just the market conditions related to selling right now. Like I fully believe with the backlog of buyers that we have, we're still in that selling market. I still believe it's a good time to sell and a good time to buy for both reasons, depending on, what side of the table you're sitting on. So this was a little basic. This podcast was, but I wanted to make sure that because we're going to have mismanagement surface. Yes. And I think if I'm being honest, that's who I'm kind of speaking to.
Okay. That's fair.
Because that's what's coming.
Right.
Right. You're sitting there listening right now. You got 5 houses.
Yeah. Or it's not what you signed up for. It's not going the way if it's not going the way you wanted it to go, and you're looking for a way out and you're wondering if now is the time. Can I get out right now? Is it okay? Yes, you can. You can still do these things that you're recommending, and you'll get out, and you can go back to where you wanted to be.
Right. Yeah. We're seeing a lot of it. So reach out. Let's talk about the house you have to sell. We'll get you some pricing, get you some figures on it, and see how long it'll take to get it going. But I just think having the home prepared, having the data prepared is the biggest key right now. Any other thing you want to add to this?
No, man. Again, it's like if you find yourself in this situation, man, call in today. If not, if you just want to learn, just keep subscribing to the podcast.
That's right. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you next time.